Hello and welcome to the Farming Today podcast with me, Charlotte Smith. In this episode, the return of fields of yellow. We'll have more on signs of a comeback for oilseed rape later. But let's start with our subject for the week, farm vets. The UK is short of vets who want to work on farms and indeed those who want to work in the government animal health services, where the vacancy rate is about 25%. With the University of Cambridge considering closing its vet course and a survey last year suggesting that more than 40% of farm vets have considered leaving their jobs, what's the future? Well, this week we'll hear from vets, from those setting up their own practice to cattle vets and those working on farm assurance schemes. Rob Williams is president of the British Veterinary Association, and he told me there are several reasons for the shortage of vets.
First of all, there's a global shortage of vets. The second reason, unfortunately, is related to Brexit. For the 20 years prior to Brexit, there were reasonably large numbers of vets, probably north of 1,000 a year, coming into the UK to work, predominantly coming from the European Union. And after Brexit, the numbers have dropped off quite dramatically, so it's much fewer than 500 are coming in a year now. And I think in a very general sense, practices that are located in rural and isolated areas find it more difficult to recruit into their practices.
We have seen this trend for a while. So when we talk about the difficulties of recruiting into a farm vet practice, a big animal vet practice, is that to do with money or is it to do with people choosing to work in a city, for instance?
Some of it is to do with the whole package, if you like. So salary, working time, so the amount of on-call or the kind of working hours, that kind of thing. I think what I would say about farm vetting and farm practices, farm-only practices, where the focus of the practice is entirely on supporting farmers and livestock, vets generally are working in those kind of roles quite happily. Maybe where it's a bit different is in the sort of mixed practitioner role. I think there is a bit of an issue there. So we did some survey work recently of our members, and about 43% of mixed practices are reporting vacancies, and they typically have maybe 2.4, 2.5 vacancies open in comparison to urban practices, maybe where it's 1.5 current vacancies.
Because actually there was a survey last year which suggested that I think it was 48% of farm vets have considered leaving their jobs.
Yeah, I think that's true, unfortunately, across all types of veterinary. And in farm vetting, on the upside, when people really enjoy it, they report really high job satisfaction. We've done some survey work and it's 91% good or great job satisfaction compared to 78% for other types of vets. But there are definitely things that push people away. So I think the physical toll it takes on people is an incredibly physically demanding job with long hours, lots of driving time. There's very well documented kind of emotional and stress and mental health tolls.
How do we reverse the situation and get more people to get into it?
When students start their first year of vet school, I think we need to be much better at articulating the wide range of careers that people can have, because it's not just farm vet practice where there are some difficulties. Our colleagues that work in the government veterinary service, which has a very much rural focus, also struggle to fully recruit. And equally, our colleagues that work in food safety and veterinary public health, so working in abattoirs and that kind of thing, also struggle to fully fill their roles. And I think we could do a much better job of showcasing different veterinary roles and the inherent value, both professional value and value to society of those roles. I think that'd be something we could do. I know that a lot of my colleagues who work in farm practice do put a huge amount of effort into supporting undergraduates through EMS, this work experience that we have to do throughout the duration of our course. And I'm sure there's more we could do with that. And then in the kind of employment space, I think we fully need to understand what is driving people either away from contemplating a farm vet career in the first place, or when they start working as a farm vet, that pushes them away.
Rob Williams from the British Veterinary Association. Well, 7 out of 10 farm vets are already using artificial intelligence. Late last year, the BVA hosted a panel discussion at the London Vet Show to discuss how they can help farmers safely adopt AI. Theo White spoke to the panel after the talk.
I'm Dr. Robert Hyde. I'm an Associate Professor in Computational Biology at University of Nottingham School of Veterinary Medicine and Science, and also co-founder of VetVision AI.
I'm Professor Jonathan Birch. I'm Director of the Jeremy Collar Centre for Animal Sentience at the London School of Economics.
I'm Paul Horwood. I'm a farm animal vet, and I'm Country Head of Farm for IVC Evidensia. We need to get farm vets excited and interested in AI and tech. If we can get them involved early on in this process, we can get them to steer it and manoeuvre it into a way that's more positive, perhaps for us, for farmers, for animal welfare.
Robert, what actually are the applications when it comes to AI in farming?
I think there's a potential here for AI to provide a pretty fundamental shift in how we care for animals and how we ensure their welfare. So as a farm vet myself, if I want to go to a farm to accredit the welfare on that farm, I might be able to visit once or twice a year. And of course, that's quite limiting in terms of me being able to see what those animals are doing and where they're doing it. With AI, we have the potential to monitor every minute of every day what those animals are doing, which for me, as a vet, allows me to look in much more detail and really deepens my connection with those animals. It's also got some risks as well. What we don't want to happen is AI to take over and remove elements of the human-animal bond.
Jonathan, this is very much in your wheelhouse as a Professor of Philosophy. Do you have any concerns about the use of AI when it comes to agriculture?
Well, we're at a crossroads, I think. There's one positive direction where we genuinely put animal welfare first, and this technology is about empowering farmers to make better decisions, see welfare problems earlier. And there's also the dystopian direction we can go in, where it allows farming to become more intensive and in effect takes the human out.
What do you consider to be the risks of this for the agriculture industry and for vets specifically?
The big risk is that a lot of these algorithms at the moment are unregulated, untested. It's very hard for the farmer and the vet to understand how good they are, how accurate they are. They're almost being sold as a panacea that's going to fix all. How do we understand and know and trust what we're being asked to do?
I think regulation would be excellent, although I think it's quite hard in practice because it's very expensive. I think the vet here has a really crucial role as a gatekeeper.
Jonathan?
The sector is a wild west at the moment. We've identified over 500 startups globally doing a lot of different things, making a lot of big claims with no good external validation.
We need some sort of independent quality control. Vets and farmers haven't got time to look at every single new piece of tech coming out. We need some way to go that this does what it says on the tin.
Theo White there on vets, farmers and AI. Now, there'll be a bigger splash of bright yellow across the countryside later in the spring, at least compared with last year. Signs are that after a 40-year low in planting, oilseed rape is starting to come back in favour with farmers. Many had moved away from it because of pest problems. The chemical used to combat the Cabbage Stem Flea Beetle was banned in the UK in 2010. Low prices for other crops have made oilseed rape a more appealing prospect. James Warner is Managing Director of the cooperative United Oilseeds.
There's about 30% increase in plantings this year, which has been a big increase, but obviously that's on last year, which was the lowest planted area in about 40 years. So we're still at a much lower area than we have been historically. Prices have been pretty buoyant, I would say, certainly versus other options on the farm. And certainly there just seems like a bit more growers' confidence amongst the grower community.
And where's the market for it? Where does it all go?
It all goes domestically. So we have about 2 million tonnes of domestic demand, and this year we'll probably only produce about 1 million. 50% of our domestic consumption will be from imported seed this year.
And do we use most of it just as oil in our kitchens, or is it going into other products?
Oh, it goes into a whole range of products. So obviously, everyone knows about cold pressed rapeseed oil. Actually, that's a relatively small part of the market. The rapeseed oil you buy on supermarket shelves is a big part of it, but it's then in all sorts of products ranging all the way from crisps, salad dressings. It makes up 78% of a mayonnaise jar, even into, believe it or not, into some of the vapes as vegetable oil, glycerin.
Crikey, I wouldn't have expected that.
Yeah.
Right, price is clearly a driver in all this. Why is oilseed rape more appealing than some of the other crops that farmers use to give land a break from growing wheat?
Over the last year or so, for example, rapeseed prices have upped quite considerably, whereas obviously wheat prices have really struggled. Rapeseed actually is very closely linked. The price drivers of that are linked to the Paris rapeseed market futures, whereas actually most of the crops we grow here in the UK, so whether it's wheat, milling wheat, barley, beans, oats. A lot of those are in some way linked to the London wheat futures market.
Why does it make a difference between being on the wheat futures market in London or pegged to a European Paris market?
Well, the Paris rapeseed market obviously has different drivers than some of the wheat markets. So, for example, like a big chunk of our demand across Europe actually goes into biodiesel, and the biodiesel market is therefore very closely linked to things like crude oil and energy. Events such as what we've seen with the uncertainties in the Middle East over the last year or so have obviously given crude oil prices a bit of a lift. That's had some impact on pushing rapeseed prices up to where we see them today.
One thing that hasn't changed is that the neonicotinoid seed dressing, which controlled the cabbage stem flea beetle, is still banned. So are farmers doing other things to get round cabbage stem flea beetle?
There's no silver bullet at the moment to prevent the impact of flea beetle on rapeseed, but what we have been doing as an industry is trying to come together underneath the OSR Reboot banner to come up with a few different things. So we've across the industry, we've all endorsed 10 shared strategies for mitigating flea beetle. So things like making sure either going early or going late with drilling dates to try and avoid the peak migration, trying to drill into good soil conditions and good moisture conditions. And then there's also other things like post-harvest cultivations, going straight in after the combine and doing a shallow sort of 1 or 2 inch cultivation on the top layer of the soil. And that hopefully will disrupt some of the life cycle of the flea beetle.
James Warner there from United Oilseeds. And that's it from us. I'm Charlotte Smith. The producer is Sarah Swadling, and Farming Today is a BBC Audio Bristol production.